That's big.
Okay, we're going to call to order the January 23rd, 2024 Board of Zoning Adjustment meeting. Happy New Year to everyone. Hope the year 2024 is kicking off just well. If you haven't been here before, we usually hear two types of cases. I don't think we have any appeals tonight.
We do have one appeal.
We have one appeal. Okay, so we're in for a treat for both types of cases. We have appeals and we have requests for zoning variances and special permits. Aside from the appeal, for the request, we will have the applicant come forward, have a seat here at the front. There's a microphone there. Yeah, there's a microphone. There's a sign-in sheet with the pen. We'd like you to legibly sign your name so that court reporter can get that on the record. If you plan, the applicant will have 5 minutes to present any additional information about the case. I will then call upon the audience to see if there's any concerned citizens that will speak for or against the application. And then we'll have the applicant come back and rebut anything that was said that you take issue with. If you're here to speak about a case, you're allowed 3 minutes. Like I said, the applicant is allowed 5. If you know you're going to speak tonight, I'm going to swear everyone in as a group so that when you come forward, you can just say you were already sworn in and I don't have to do it individually. So if you plan on speaking tonight, please stand, raise your right hand. You promise that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth and nothing but the truth. Please state I do.
I do.
Thank you. Okay, we will start with any preliminary matters.
Yeah, I'll turn it over to Stephen.
Yep, I have 2 preliminary matters. The first one is BZA 21-010 for 910 Dublin Road. They're asking for extension of a special permit.
Okay. Are they in this packet or not?
No, they are
Okay.
not.
Will the applicant on board?
Good evening.
Good evening. Is it microphone on?
Yes.
Green.
It is green. Can you hear me okay?
And now,
Okay.
please state your name, whether or not you were sworn in.
My name is Michael John Giordano and I have sworn in.
State your request.
The request is to extend BZA 21010 for an additional 6 years. It expires March 23rd of 2024, so in 2 months from now. It was a 3-year permit. It is for office trailers. It's 910 Dublin Road is the city's utility complex just on the road. There is a construction project laboratory specific that removed the city personnel and temporarily put them into office trailers. That project has an extension to it, the construction project, which is prompting this extension request. The city has also identified secondary use of the trailers that are there for an additional project that they have in concept phase right now that would then utilize that space for additional renovations in the same, at the same utility complex. Right? So that's the basis of the request.
And that notices don't have to go out through this kind of both.
Not for an extension of a previously approved.
Okay.
So I'd say it'd be terrible for those employees to be in there 9 years, but it sounds like it's only gonna be part of the employee.
Right.
How long?
6 more years.
6 additional years.
Is there, I mean, I know we've had a couple people come in to do extensions like this, and some of them have been portable buildings. And I've raised the flag like, well, how long do you really need this? 6 years is a long time. And how long did we do it for? We did it for 3?
That's correct.
What is the precedent here? Like, I'm not immediately opposed to it, but I don't want somebody to say, well, you let the city do it for 9 years or 6 years or whatever. It is kind of ridiculous.
Understood. It's 2 separate projects, if that's of any consideration. It's utilizing the existing infrastructure that they've already paid for, right? Otherwise, it's demobbed and remobbed.
What's
the
the
same site.
extension on the current construction project?
12 months would be what we would ask for the existing one. So that is on schedule August of this year. So we would request instead of 7 or 8 months, 12 months, just to be safe.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to let it run with the construction project. And then you can come back to have a new application for the new construction project.
Mhm.
So if this construction project is ending in 7, 8 months, then maybe you ask for an 18-month request this time to get you through that contract, and then
Okay.
have something just for equity.
And I don't think we're getting in the weeds to say they need to deconstruct something and put it back together.
Right.
We just need a new request.
Yeah, it's
An updated
almost like a
request.
stopgap measure to just come back and read it in front of the board. And
Yeah, just to get a new project on the books, and this is the temporary buildings to go with it. So what would be your request with this?
so the request then would be revised to an 18-month
An 18-month.
extension to the current permit of, or application, excuse me, of BZA 21-010. 18-month extension.
I so move.
Second,
Please call the roll.
Ms. Eaglehawk,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Maleka,
yes.
Chair Plummer Bailey.
Yes. Extension granted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm reading.
Any other preliminary issues?
Yes, there's one other preliminary matter, BZA 22-075 for 1656 and 1664 West Bell Drive is asking to be tabled.
What number is that? Please come forward.
Number 3.
Evening.
Hi, can you state your name or not even sworn in?
My name is Victor Ndwakoba.
Gotcha. State your request.
I'm requesting for the BCA 22075 to be tabled.
For reasons.
I was supposed to go to the sonar
What's that? The
west, yes, but I didn't get the information, so
Oh, the area commission.
yes,
Oh, okay.
I got it late.
The West Iota Area Commission. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so you want additional time to get that done.
I think that they have another meeting by this February, so I will attend that one.
Okay, okay. Is there anybody here tonight that was going to speak about 1656 and 1664 West Belt Drive? Okay, no one's in the audience. Do we have a motion?
Motion to accept the extension.
Second. It's a tabling.
Tabling,
Second.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Maleka,
yes.
Ms. Eaglehawk,
Yes.
Chair Plummer Bailey.
Yes. It's been tabled. Thank you.
Keep it track.
Now, have you view?
Okay, ready for the view? Okay, I have case number BZA 23-146, 5566 Redwood Road, with the city as well as the property owner. Please come forward.
Chad, so.
I will start with the city zoning enforcement. Okay, can you state your name whether or not you were sworn in? You may want to pull the microphone over to the side.
Hi, my name is Chad Gentry. I have been sworn in.
Okay, go ahead with your presentation.
All right, I am representing the city of Columbus Code Enforcement for violation notice issued by Code Enforcement Officer Amanda Nisley. Notice was issued on September 7th. The exhibits here provided to you, Exhibit A is a copy of the violation notice at property 5566 Redwood, issued September 7th. Violations that were observed at the initial inspection date were a vehicle or a trailer parked on an unapproved surface. There was a recliner parked or stored on the property, according to Amanda Nisley.
It was a what store?
A recliner stored outside.
Oh,
A chair, yeah. And then there was a commercial vehicle as well as a vehicles that was parked on a surface that was not approved by the city. Zoning clearance had not been obtained for it. Those are pages 1 through 3. Exhibit B are the code definitions, pages 4 through 7. Exhibit C is a photo of the notice being posted on the property. Exhibit D are the original inspection photos from September 1st by Code Officer Nisley.
and this is a residence.
Correct. Exhibit E is just a copy of the appeal application.
So
Pages,
your exhibits are numbered, lettered.
sorry, pages 11 through 12. Pages 13 through 14 are just a response to the appellant's letter. Page 13 is a picture by Code Officer Nisley showing the recliner that was out. And 14 is a picture showing that the recliner was removed.
And why would it even have to be removed?
As far as the code violation,
Why is a recliner not permitted on a covered front porch?
it's not a completely enclosed front porch.
Okay,
So the code requires it to be completely enclosed,
in order to what?
to be stored outside.
What code section are we looking at for that?
That is 3332.289.
I guess I'm trying to get you the distinction. Is it because it doesn't appear to be weather resistant?
If I can, okay.
Please.
So, yeah,
It's upholstered furniture. So if you look at page 4,
Oh, I see it.
number 8, upholstered furniture is listed under prohibited use of activities.
Okay, thank you.
Pages 15 and 16 are an email correspondence between Code Enforcement Officer Nisley and Walter Green, who is the planner to. This is in response to the appeal application stating that the parking pad on the side yard would require variances due to how close it is to the property line and therefore would not be approved without such variances. And Exhibit 8, pages 17 through 22 are just aerial photos over time showing the condition of the property. Page 19 is showing that there is no gravel or parking pad there from a Google Map photo from 2014. And a Google Map photo from 2019 shows a freshly poured concrete pad.
So wait, the concrete pad was new since you issued the violation notice?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, it's just showing a history of the property.
Okay.
So in 2013, there was nothing there. In
Got it.
2019, there is something there now.
These are two different properties. It looks like a shared driveway.
There is a driveway next to it that is a different parcel. We're talking about the parcel on the right side with the concrete pad in reference to page 20.
So, okay.
So the driveway on the left side belongs to a different property.
Also like.
19s, old 20s, and they, he's still with that. 19, somebody off the driveway.
Yeah, I don't generally joke.
And then page 23 are pictures that I took today showing the violations that I observed in my capacity as a code officer, showing on page 23, the top photo, there is a commercial vehicle that is parked on a pad that does not currently have zoning clearance. And the second photo on page 23 shows a trailer with a boat on it that is parked on a narrow service walk that is partially parked on an unimproved surface, the grass.
And you might have said this on page 22. What are you highlighting there?
Page 22 appears to me just highlighting that in 2019, there was nothing parked on that side.
Okay.
Page 23 shows that there's a.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
And on page 23 at the top, which vehicle are you considering a commercial vehicle?
The
Yellow.
cherry picker, the yellow one.
Not there seems to be a van of some sort.
That's the other property.
Yeah, so next to it, it's because the property lines are so narrow on that side. This one,
It's just the neighbor, everything on the drive.
So how does the person in the yellow car get to that parking pad?
It's not legitimate parking.
they drive through either get to the grass or they go through the driveway.
Of the other person's house?
Correct.
Okay. 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 Before I have you speak, sir, let me just make sure we're on the same page here about the purpose of an appeal is that you dispute the fact.
Can't hear you.
I can't hear you. I'm really hard of hearing.
Oh, okay. So let's just get on the same page about the purpose of an appeal. Is that you are here to dispute the facts
Huh?
of what happened and not to be requesting permission to do something.
No.
Okay. Can you state your name when you were sworn in?
Can you hear me?
I can.
I'm sorry. I'm really hard of hearing.
I can hear you.
40 years, I was Columbus firefighter in the sirens before we had hearing protection. My name's John Bergman, Bergman.
I just said thank you for your service. Go ahead.
You're welcome.
Go ahead.
Okay. The first thing I was going to say, I didn't mean to interrupt you, sir. I was just trying to clarify a little bit. The day that I own both properties,
Okay.
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 my mom and dad's house, and they own both properties. It was the first house built up in Forest Park West in 1962. So they've owned both properties, and I own both properties. I was just gonna go down the list, but I didn't want an argument starting about the chair, because I told I know the code. I mean, I was a fire inspector, I know the fire code real good. But I told her face to face, the day she was there, that was sitting out because somebody was coming to pick it up. It wasn't even supposed to be there. So like you say, that's a moot point now. But I told her, and you know, a common person, if someone tells me something like that on a fire inspection, you tend to, you know, okay, I'll check back in a week or something, but she didn't. So the first thing is about you can consider it a trailer. It has wheels, but it can't be pulled by like a truck or anything. The purpose of it, if you look in the pictures, it's actually the back end of a old fire truck, an old Columbus fire truck. You can tell by looking at it. And it's on wheels, top 10-foot cut off of the 100-foot aerial ladder. And it, for taking kids on rides and for parades, it's pulled by a guard track. The trailer is on an improved surface, concrete, according in compliance with section 33-12-43. If you were out there today, sir, and you, did you look under both wheels? I realize what you're saying. It's half on concrete because there's a walkway that used to be on actually both sides of the house. We can get to that later. But there was a 4-foot sidewalk to get into the backyard. And there's no gate there now, but the sidewalk's still there. The trailer, the fire truck thing is parked on that, and there's a canoe on top. Guy gave me a canoe. It's not a trailer for the canoe, but did you happen to look at the other tire?
I didn't get that close.
Okay, well, there is concrete under it.
But I think the issue, sir, is that you don't have
I can't hear you.
I think the issue is that you don't have a permit for that parking surface.
No, that's on the other side of the house, right? You don't have a permit to park.
If you're claiming that this is all improved and that's parking on that, you would need zoning clearance for that as well.
Well, it's parked on a improved surface that has been there since 1962.
But to have it designated as a parking space, you would need zoning clearance for that.
All right, I mean.
Yeah, sir, the city doesn't allow you to just gravel or cement down anywhere you want and call it a parking space. You have to get permission to do that.
Okay,
Okay,
it's already there, it's improved, you still need a,
yeah, but you still got,
well,
but you did that inappropriately, so you would have
let,
to come in.
I understand that. Let me get to the other side of the house then. So it's on an improved surface, but I didn't get cited for not having zoning clearance for it. So what you're telling me is you would have to recite me for zoning clearance for that?
No, it's included on the notice.
I'm sorry?
Lacking zoning clearance is included on the violation notice.
Well, for the one side, does that cover the whole property?
It covers the whole
Okay.
property.
The number 2 was the improper storage of the exterior of the property. That was the armchair for pickup. They're claiming a commercial vehicle stored or parked on this property. I do not own a commercial vehicle as defined by the Ohio State Bureau of Motor Vehicles as a commercial vehicle or truck. It's a passenger vehicle, and I have the registration to prove it. It's not a commercial vehicle.
Are you referring to the bucket truck?
Yes. It's no longer a commercial vehicle, it's a retired vehicle. It's like a school bus that you turn into a camper or a dump truck that you use for farm use. You know, yes, it might have used to be a commercial vehicle, I don't know. Doesn't have any writing on the side of it or anything. And it's not licensed. You know, the code specifically says any vehicle that's licensed as a commercial vehicle or truck. And this is not licensed as a commercial vehicle or truck. It's licensed as a passenger vehicle. If you saw today, you might have noticed the license plate. Got a passenger license plate on it. My insurance company considers it a personal vehicle. What it is a reason I bought it. I bought it for passenger transportation, but I got it because it's a CNG vehicle. You know what CNG vehicle is?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
compressed natural gas, like most of our trash trucks are now in Columbus, and a lot of your zoning cars. I got it because it was a CNG vehicle. CNG is only $1.99 a gallon, and it gets the same mileage as anything else that, you know, you're paying $3, $4 a gallon for. That's the main reason I got it to use as a passenger vehicle, because it was cheap. But I got the, that's the building. I've got the registration if you want to see it. It's registered as a passenger vehicle. So unless you want to change the law.
You're under oath, you are under oath. We will take your testimony
Okay.
as the truth that it is not a commercial vehicle. That's fine.
Like I said, I have the document to prove it if you want to see it.
We don't need to-
Actually, I could,
I don't need to see it, sir.
no, just not take up a lot of time, but, I was gonna real.
But on the other side, where you have the canoe, we are considering that a recreational vehicle.
Passenger vehicle. I showed it to him, so he,
Okay.
well, on the other side, I'm
That-
sorry?
On the other side, where you have the canoe, where you are in agreement that that cannot be parked right there?
Well, he just said it can be parked there if I get zoning clearance, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking about as is, as we sit here today, as of the date of the violation.
Well, I didn't know the zoning, says nothing about an improved surface for that side. It only says it has to be parked on concrete. That's all of the zoning order for that side of the house states, that there's an improved,
Yeah, I think it does, it's, the zoning violation has sections 1 and 2 require surface for parking and prohibited use.
331243, required surface for parking. There is a boat trailer being parked, kept, stored, placed on an unimproved surface on the side of the property, see Hughes. Well, it's not an unimproved surface, so there's no other statement that said it also needed zoning clearance in my citation. I had no way of knowing that. Like I said, it's been there since 1962. I wouldn't think you'd have to, you know, I would think something out would be grandfathered in.
I don't think it's grandfathered in. But I guess we're pointing out all of the different ways that that's in violation. So you're not allowed to put pavement down and call it a surface for parking because you have not gotten it designated as a space.
All right.
So,
I don't know what that's involved in. I mean, if it was there before, I mean, I could just as easily move it to the driveway.
yeah, after this hearing, you can work with city staff, figure out how you can get a application in to ask for a variance that would allow you to do.
Work with who?
to do. Work with the city staff here.
Okay, okay.
So we will rule on the issues as of the date of the zoning violation, which was September 7th, with the understanding that you will work to rectify the issues
For the boat trailer.
for both sides.
Yeah, that side of the house, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Both
Sorry.
sides.
Both sides. Both sides of the house.
Well, yeah, we can do that. And I'm more than willing to do that, but and I have the same pictures as you have. There used to be a sidewalk on both sides of the house. I don't want to draw this out or anything, but you know how a house is built and you have a gate on both sides going into the rear yard, and they pour usually a 4-foot sidewalk, 5-foot sidewalk. A minimum of 4 foot usually. So there was that on both sides of the house. Now, we did let, while mom and dad were there, they let the one on the side that the bucket truck is parked on grow up a little bit. And some of the pictures reflect that from previous years. But if you actually look closely at the pictures, and I have Google pictures from also from that time period. Like August 2011, we hadn't put it in yet, and there's a bush overgrown there.
But sir, how is this relevant to what's happening on the property today?
Well, okay. Happening today on it's always been, that side has always been the same as the other side.
Right, if it was a sidewalk, sir, you
If-
can
if it was
turn it into.
sidewalk,
parking
okay.
space.
Not allowed to park on it. Okay. Now, I've talked to 2 different people specifically about that. I came in here we were doing other work that I needed a building permit for. And I get permits, like everybody's supposed to. On August 10th of 2018, I come downstairs to get a building permit and to ask about the parking underneath where the vans parked. Because I was storing, travel trailer on there and such. We cleaned it out.
On the other property you're talking about? Where the van is parked, you said?
Where the van is parked.
That's on the,
I
that's
can't
on,
see who's talking.
I'm
Oh,
talking
okay,
on the property next to the property we're talking about today.
yes,
Okay,
on that side,
but that's not relevant for this
that's
case.
adjoining. Well,
But are they two separate parcels, two
Yeah.
separate addresses? Okay, so whatever you did with regards to that property is irrelevant with this.
well, except when I specifically said, hey, Mr. Zoning person, I need a permit for this, which actually I didn't need a permit for. I had to almost threaten them to give me a permit because it was for a building that was under 200 square feet. A shed, the building department, I'm sure does that.
So.
But I needed a permit because it was a EMA project that I was doing for FEMA, tornado shelter. And they had to have a permit before they would pay for it. So they agreed to give me a permit. But while I was there, I asked specifically the zoning compliance guy about that pad area. It had been gravel and we've been using it for parking for a long time. I asked Trevor Wilcoxon. He was City of Columbus Building Compliance Section. I also talked to several other people that day on the same matter, Sean Detkin, Tom Nicholson, and Amit Ghosh. But Trevor Wilcoxon, who was actually a building compliance officer, was the one that told me that that was fine. I did not have to have a permit or zoning clearance, because what I was asking for is to go ahead and pave that or concrete it, since it was half concrete and half gravel, and it had been that way. And he said as long as it had been that way prior to 1985, which it had, that it would be okay. I could pave it or I could leave it like it is. The zoning clearance was not required because a previously approved driveway or parking pad is being repaved without any expansion to the surface area. That's what he told me, and that's what I quoted in my appeal. And then, actually, when I came down to file the appeal, they made me go talk to other section, and Drew Neekum, who was a current, I don't know if Wilcoxon and them other people are still here or not, but Drew Neekum, Niccum, looked at what I had, and he told me that I did not need zoning approval clearance. Now, not that side with the boat. You've already told me that, okay, I gotta get, but he told me that the other side with the pad that we'd already been using, because that's where mom and dad used to park their motorhome, and then they didn't, and that's why it got overgrown. He told me specifically, as same as Wilcoxon did, that did not need to be permitted or zoning clearance requirement because it had been established as that prior to 1985.
I don't know what the significant of 1985 is. Do you all know?
Sounds
It's in your, he showed me. It's in your zoning code. It's in the City of Columbus zoning code.
Sir, if I may, Chair, I don't know if you have does he have a pack of the exhibits? Can you turn to page 19? Rebecca, is your microphone on over here? Yeah, I'm sorry, a little bit closer.
Okay.
So see how it's dated 2014?
Yeah.
All right, and see where the yellow box is around?
Yeah,
That's the flower bed right there, right?
that's the what, ma'am?
That's a flower bed?
No, it's just overgrown.
Okay, but I don't see any concrete.
Well, that's because it's overgrown.
Okay.
There's a gate back there, and there's concrete, like was on the other side of the building, going back to the gate.
Not the concrete pad that the vehicle rests on today, though, correct?
No, it was same as on the other side of the house. There was a 4-foot walkway going back, that had been there, and then there was gravel beside it, and it had gotten overgrown. We cleaned that back out. Cause and you'll see in,
He's admitting that he has added the concrete.
yeah, we added the concrete with, I added,
He said the gravel was pre-85 and it was used for parking in '85.
I don't know how parking would get on.
It probably wasn't permissible. I think, sir,
I can address the sheriff's question. I didn't realize what you're asking. So 1985 is when the hard surface requirement was established in the residential zoning code. So if you had gravel prior to 1985, you're allowed to maintain the gravel. You can't expand it. And if you don't maintain it and it gets overgrown, you lose that non-conformity.
so he couldn't have he couldn't have improved it with a solid surface.
You can improve it with a solid surface, but you can't allow it to be overgrown. The solid surface would still need zoning clearance though.
So did you hear the city speak to the 1985 issue?
I'm sorry,
Did you hear the city's response on the
Yeah.
1985 issue?
that you,
So if you had gravel, you could have kept it gravel. But once you put a hard surface on it, you needed a permit for that.
well, it has not been overgrown since the hard surface was poured. That's one of the purposes of pouring the hard surface was to, a good pad to park on, because I was tired of having the gravel in the other pad, the way Dad had for the motorhome, and I wanted to pour
Right, so that
all
required,
concrete.
so that required the permit. Keeping it as gravel would have not required the permit. But once you get the hard surface, that's what you get the permit. I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
No, he said on the 8th, I got the permit they
Right,
gave
you
me.
had gravel, sir.
Yeah, and I asked him if I could pave it. And he said I could pave it, I could pave the gravel, or it could remain gravel. And zoning clearance wasn't required to go ahead and pave the gravel.
I'm not able to verify those statements. You don't have those in writing. I don't have any, he's not here to testify to that, but that was just wrong. Sorry, sometimes.
Well, you don't usually get something in writing when somebody tells you that it's okay to do this. I was here for a building permit.
I get it, and I can say, I'm sorry that happened to you, but that's all I can offer. It still is wrong.
What's wrong about it?
It does require a permit.
It doesn't require a permit.
Zoning clearance.
It's zoning clearance, I'm sorry.
Okay, a zoning,
Clearance, yeah.
okay, if they're saying it required, now you're saying it required zoning clearance when two officials from the zoning department specifically have told me it didn't.
I can't, all I can do is apologize for the misinformation, sir.
But it doesn't require a permit because that's what I asked for.
And
I asked if it needed a permit.
it doesn't, it requires a zoning clearance. So we are going to vote on this appeal.
Okay, quick city question. Do these spaces require access driveways to them?
Yeah, of course. First of all, if you want to call them spaces.
Well,
Secondly, if it's stored, you can't store these recreational vehicles in the side yard. So that's the other.
so
Yeah, so I didn't want to address all that tonight.
When did that change?
just want to make sure. that-
They said, because when Dad started storing the motorhome there, he checked with the city, and they said as long as it was behind the property line.
Sir, I think that what you're trying to do with this property is gonna take an additional conversation with city staff outside of this meeting so that you can get everything down, understood, and then get the proper request documented that would come back to us. They can explain all of those rules, dates, changes, et cetera. But tonight, we only can vote on the infractions that were listed, whether or not they existed at the time of September. And then you can then work to get the situation rectified. Okay?
But the only thing you're telling me I have to get rectified is,
No. I don't want you to go by what I'm telling you to get rectified. You need to speak with the city about what needs to get rectified.
I have done that
Okay,
twice.
but nothing has come to our desk for us to rule on. So you have to get with the city, current staff, to figure out what it is that you need to put down to request.
Well, now you're saying there can't be a recreational vehicle on private property.
And sir, I don't want us to get into all of those rules because that is going to take.
I didn't bring it up. City brought it up.
Because I don't want you to leave here tonight thinking that what you have here is going to be approved. It will not. So you're gonna have to make some changes and you're gonna have to talk with the city about what those things will be. I just did not want to leave you under a false impression that everything that you're doing, you can just ask for the clearance and it will be approved, because that's not the case. But we're not gonna go into all of the rules, all of the different requirements here tonight, because we don't have time to do that. That's not our function. We're just here to rule on the appeal about the infractions. Okay,
Okay,
so
so,
we're gonna take a vote right now on that, and then you can then meet the city on things to get your property. in order.
are we in agreement then about the, I mean, you already ruled on the chair that's not
That
there.
one already ruled, sir, we're about to do that right now.
Okay, or how about the ruling on the, commercial vehicle?
What about it?
Well, are you still saying it's a commercial vehicle?
No,
Okay.
I can speak for myself and feel like that's not a commercial vehicle if you say that it's not, it doesn't have a CDL. It doesn't have it's not licensed by the commercial, I'm sorry, by, Department of Transportation.
All right.
It's a commercial vehicle. I'm accepting of that. But that still doesn't alleviate the other issues with it.
All right,
It's still not designated space. So. Okay?
all right.
Okay, so let's, on the evidence presented at the hearing, the board makes the following findings of fact.
Can I interject? I'm sorry, I don't want to take up any more of your time, but on the issue of the commercial vehicle,
Yes.
it's not entirely relevant to us how the state of Ohio licensed something. So our code says, for the purposes of the section, a commercial vehicle, and on page 6, it includes, but is not necessarily limited to a bus, cement truck, commercial tree trimming equipment, construction equipment, which those last two could be considered for the bucket truck here, dump truck, garbage truck, or other commercial type vehicle licensed by the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. So it's not entirely dependent on how it is registered by the Bureau of Motor
Yeah,
Vehicles,
but he doesn't have any of those things that you listed in the list.
with it being the bucket truck. The bucket truck would fall under commercial tree trimming equipment or.
I don't see bucket
It's
trucks.
not a tree trimmer. It's, the code specifically says,
No, but it says not limited to, the bucket trucks are usually designed to access for tree trimming. It's a gray area, very gray, and, the fact that yours references as licensed by the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, it's so gray. And we don't have any evidence that he's using it as a commercial vehicle. And it doesn't seem to be, are those?
Or other commercial vehicle.
It has,
Not licensed.
I mean, we've been in this place before where the vehicle was previously, I think it was an ambulance. And was not using it as an ambulance. They were using it for whatever else. They said it was not licensed by the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles as a commercial vehicle, and that was accepted.
I guess I feel like now that I'm looking at it with those cones, it almost looks like it is currently being. So what do you?
well, the codes I left on the back to keep somebody from hitting it. Because if you look, it has a 4-foot platform that sticks out the back.
Why do you maintain all of that equipment on a vehicle that you're not, you said you got it for the CNG. I'm just curious, why do you maintain
What am I maintaining? Just having cones? I got cones on the front too. Because it has a place for cones, a rod.
those further suggest that it is for a commercial use is what I'm telling you.
Homes?
Well, Chair, as I read the statute, or other commercial type vehicle licensed by the BMV, that's a separate category.
Correct.
So as long as it's designed for those type of vehicles, I feel like it meets the definition.
But it doesn't, I guess what I'm saying is, it says commercial vehicle includes, and it has a list, a bus, a C.
but not necessarily limited to. I mean, it's not an exhaustive list.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is he's not even using it in a commercial way.
Right, but I would argue that's designed, the vehicle is designed to be used in a commercial way.
And I think that if he didn't have the company, it looks like he could drive out today and use it as a commercial vehicle.
Correct.
And if that were not the case, I'd feel differently.
Correct.
I respect the fact that he has it registered as a pedestrian or a passenger vehicle. But the way that it is set up, that the pictures, the evidence that we see suggests that it's a commercial use
It
vehicle.
doesn't have any lettering on it or anything.
But it has-
I'm willing, I'll just let this go and,
Yeah.
and they can come after me and I'm not gonna do anything on anything, even talking with them, and we'll wait till it gets to the court. I'm willing to do that.
Not our issue.
You know, I was gonna say, okay, on the, you know, because you acknowledged that was a commercial vehicle. And I was gonna talk to the gentleman about, you know, the zoning, which I've already talked to zoning, and I don't know what the difference is. But I mean, if you're backpedaling on all that, I know how this goes. I mean, they can just go ahead and file the little things all the way up and we'll let a judge decide. Other than a board of people that don't know the law.
That's fine, sir. We will vote on this right now. We have 4 violations to vote on. Finding a fact that there was, parking. There was not required service for parking. There was prohibited use and activity. There was prohibited parking, and there was a lack of a certificate of zoning clearance.
So you're excluding the vehicle?
Are we taking them individually?
We can take them individually.
Let's do that.
Number 1, boat trailer and an unimproved surface. Can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey?
Yes. Improper storage of upholstered furniture on the porch. Please call the roll.
Ms. Egelhoff?
No.
Mr. Jones?
No.
Mr. Malika?
No.
Chair Palmer Bailey?
Yes.
Are you asking these in a negative or double?
No, I'm saying that there was a fact that they had upholstered furniture stored on the front porch as of September the 7th. Yes or no?
Oh, then we would all say yes, because we know that that's true.
I wonder who the song that was.
Yes,
Let's go back and clean up the record, if you could clarify what.
So we're taking the vote as of September the 7th, the date of the violation.
Yes.
And
Of
there's
the-
It's a finding of fact
This is
or
the finding of fact. That upholstered furniture stored on the front porch in violation of 3332.289.
Yes. Oh.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey?
Yes. Number 3. Commercial vehicle stored or parked on a residentially zoned lot in violation of 3312.35 as of September 7th, 2023.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey?
No. And number 4. Property lacks a certificate of zoning clearance for parking pads installed on the north side of the property when used for parking as of September 7th, 2023.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Eleanor, did you say for parking specifically?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey?
Yes. Okay. Based on the evidence presented, the board upon motion makes the following order. I'll take them in order again to say whether or not the violation, whether the appeal is denied So we're voting, is the appeal denied, yes or no?
So the way the code reads, I would recommend that the motion be phrased in favor of the appeal, so the motion should be whether the appeal is sustained. In other words, in favor of Mr. Bergman's application. And he would need 3 of the 4 votes to sustain his appeal.
Okay.
So I have a question for clarity. We know the chair is not there, so we're basing everything on that time period that preceded today, right? Because I suggest, or I believe if this would advance to a court, I mean, obviously that part would be dismissed because it doesn't exist, it's been resolved. So we're here laser focused on voting on the facts at that, as of this date, not today.
So the board voted on finding the fact that the chair was there, correct?
Correct.
On that
On
date.
September
On
7th.
that day. Now you are voting whether or not that amounts to a violation,
Then,
correct?
okay. Thank you.
Okay, so whether the appeal is sustained for item number 1, boat trailer in an unimproved surface. Please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
The violation sustained or the
The
appeal
appeal,
upheld?
sorry, did I say violation? I'm gonna say
The
appeal.
appeal is
Sustained.
sustained is the question. If a board member believes that there is a violation, you would vote no.
Right.
That the
No.
appeal is not sustained.
Mr. Malika?
No,
Ms. Egelbaum?
No,
Chair Pompey?
Sorry, no. Okay, number 2, whether the appeal is sustained for item number 2, which is upholstered furniture stored in the front porch.
Mr. Malika?
yes,
Ms. Egelbaum?
yes,
Mr. Jones?
No.
Chair Pompey?
Yes. Whether the appeal is sustained for commercial vehicles stored on residentially zoned lot.
Mr. Malika?
no,
Ms. Egelbaum?
no,
Mr. Jones?
No.
Chair Pompey?
Yes. And number 4, whether the appeal is sustained for number 4, which is lack certificate of zoning clearance for parking.
Ms. Egelbaum?
no,
Mr. Jones?
No.
Mr. Malika?
no,
Chair Pompey?
No. Okay, that's the conclusion of our appeal.
Thank you.
Am I supposed to give somebody now or later?
Does anyone have a card or just right here in my phone?
You're
You can't come back here. FYI.
Okay, we're ready.
Yes.
First case, 247, Preston Road, will the applicant please come forward?
that's previous email and
Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, 247 Preston Road is located on the west side of Preston Road, approximately 99 feet north of Fair Avenue. Site is zoned RRR residential district and is not within any recognized area commission. Site is developed as a single unit dwelling in a residential neighborhood. The applicant proposes to install a pool, or the applicant proposes to legitimize a pool that has been installed in the front yard. I'd like to draw your attention to the staff report, specifically code section 3393.06 location. The code states that no swimming or wading pool shall be located in any front yard or any lot or between any street and any required building line. Swimming pool may be located in part of the rear yard behind a residence as an additional authorized accessory use. This has been in the code section for a few years now, but there's been a handout that our residential zoning clearance staff have been using that was a little bit contradictory. The handout specifically said that City of Columbus handout required, the no swimming pool shall be in any required yard. So as long as it was between the building setback and the building, it would be okay. Our zoning clearance staff inadvertently granted zoning clearance for the halfway finished swimming pool until someone, I guess, reported it and zoning and code enforcement read the exact code correctly and cited them. So that was a little bit of an embarrassment on our zoning staff. Having said that, there's no adopted area plan for the site, and the Division of Traffic Management has no comments. City staff is therefore recommending approval, as the layout of the site provides a uniquely large front yard with mature trees that will provide screening. We have no conditions.
So the next person that has the same set of circumstances,
Well, that handout has been corrected, so hopefully that won't be another circumstance.
I guess I'm saying the circumstances that you just described that say, because of, we're recommending approval. So somebody else that has those same set of positive circumstances.
Well, hopefully no one will go in and apply for a permit for pool and get granted zoning clearance.
But that's not what you conditioned your approval on, is
I
what.
didn't put any conditions on my approval.
But I think what Mr. Jones is saying, you're saying that because the site is uniquely large front porch,
Yes.
front yard, that's why you're saying this is
Well, that's the
allowed.
justification, but I'm not.
Instead of saying this was our error.
Right, yeah, I'm not approving this because we made an error. I'm saying that it's justified.
And that's what I'm saying,
Okay.
because somebody else could have that same set of
Sure,
circumstances.
yeah, of course.
And we,
But I'm saying, I hope, yeah, okay, you're right then. Mr. Jones, you're correct.
I'm not saying that you're right, I'm trying to make the right decision here. Okay.
No, yeah, staff is recommending approval because of the large, extremely large, uniquely large front yard. If this were like in my neighborhood, Old Town East, we'd probably say no. It's about a 10-foot front yard.
Yeah.
Please state your name and whether or not you were sworn in.
Yes, Dawn Elias, and yes, I was.
David Hodge, attorney for the applicant and property owner as of about an hour ago in the hallway. Don and I are acquaintances, and Preston's a street over from Bexley, the community I live in. So we know one another, and Don was here nervous and asked for my help. So I volunteered to help manage the process. Spoke with Jamie a little bit out in the hall, understand the city staff's recommendation of approval.
So let me just ask a question here. I have a Timothy Smith.
That's my husband.
Okay,
So,
okay. But you are an owner of the property as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just want to clarify.
Sure. So Preston, as staff mentioned, it is a bit of a unique street. As you leave the city of Bexley, heading down Broad Street towards downtown, it's the first street outside of the city of Bexley. These are very large lots, kind of the first street in the city of Columbus, outside of Bexley. Deep lots, large lots, wide lots, really, I would say most similar to Columbia and Parkwood as you're in the city of Bexley. So really a unique set of circumstances here for a property in this zoning designation. As staff mentioned, there is adequate perimeter screening for the location of this pool in the yard, such that it's not, there are no adverse impacts to any adjacent property owner. I think if there were, folks would be here to testify. Everybody within 125 feet of this received notice, and they are apparently not here to speak. And so since there is no significant adverse impact, with city staff's recommendation of approval, no area commission would respectfully request that the board approve the variance to allow this pool that's already there to.
Show me already there, I want to see what it looks like.
Say it
Yeah,
again.
I don't see, what are we being shown here?
This is the zoning map aerial. So
I want to see this half installed pool.
I have pictures on my phone.
That's fine.
I wrote an email to get it, when we got the notice, I'm sorry, I'm nervous. When we got the notice to stop the pool, we had all the wires sticking up, there was no cover, but the water was in, so it was 75% finished. And so I pleaded, it's winter's coming up, we need to get the cover on, we need to get concrete for my kids and my pets, just put over it. And so I do have a lot of pictures. I have a full yard fence all the way around that's 5 feet in trees.
Is it better for her to email it to you also, you can pull it up?
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Send it to, pull it up and send it to JF.
Yeah,
Is it
because it's
DE?
not perfect.
DE?
DE.
KIRK at columbus.gov.
We'll just take a shot. Right to
I guess that's not Wolf Park though.
It's behind us. Wolf Park's right behind us.
Yeah, I was thinking you were right on the park. I was, that's.
Kirk, KIRK at columbus.gov.
This is just a picture I took on the way out, but I have a lot more that can.
Jonathan, they're good ones.
Yeah, so let's get that and then Don, when that comes, when they have that, you know, show that in the context of the aerial photograph that they had. So they understand where that actually is on the lot.
Oh, we actually did, we found.
We do have some pictures too. I'll keep an eye on my email though, but
Yeah, and the art is
this is what we're looking at.
So I'm saying this.
We found our photos, if you want to take a look.
This might be a better one. There's a better one.
That looks like a backyard.
That's the front yard.
That's the front yard.
Yeah, this is taken from the driveway at right where it meets the street.
So I just see black. Is that a cover?
It's it looks like it's right there.
That is the cover.
Yes.
So, just some photos, just stick to unless it's misnamed. Yeah. So it's gonna be and I'll double
Well, I
check.
think you should still send your pictures, because this is, I don't know. If it's-
So how did this get to our attention again? Someone-
So they engaged a contractor and the contractor started on the pool, came over to the city to, you know, do their due diligence and, you know, met with staff and did what they did. And unfortunately, this brochure that the staff consulted gave guidance that the pool was legal and issued zoning clearance for the pool installation. And so that work went on. Somewhere, somehow along the way, an inspection was done and somebody came to the conclusion that it was not in fact in accordance with the code. And so guidance was given to submit a variance to legitimize the work that got done. So do you have the email?
Still waiting on it to come up, just making sure it was, the email is right at the top of this screen here, DE Kirk, KIRK, Columbus.gov. It sometimes takes a while though.
Man, so that fence is along the property line, and then it looks like you have trees, so there's only like one side that looks kind of open to the driveway?
There's nothing open. I have a black iron fence
Okay.
that's almost 5 feet where that fence stops all the way around the property.
Okay.
And then I have trees lining the inside and outside.
That's helpful.
Yes.
So can we go back to the aerial photograph that you guys had up there initially? And then Don, let's go up. Could we?
You can,
Yeah, we,
yeah.
So Preston here, what is this down here?
That's Brian, I think.
Brian back here. So the front of so this is the front of the house. So show where the pool is.
Okay, so this is the front of the house. Here's my black fence, double line trees everywhere. But here's my driveway, here's my actual front door, and the pool's right here. So I have layers of landscaping, trees, and privacy. So in one more year, you won't be able to see the pool at all.
At the board-on-board fence that they have in the photograph, that is along the southern property line here. And then it's wrought iron fence along.
Right, wrought iron this whole way.
So it's more in your side yard.
It is.
Predominantly in the side yard.
It happened to be on the front.
Predominantly in the side yard with a bit of the pool that encroaches into the front yard setback.
I'm just trying to grab my story to make it make sense.
So this was the third pool company that we worked with. We got approved all 3 times, and I think there was at least 1 variance, maybe 2. But I didn't know because the pool company took care of everything, and I didn't know that they didn't this time. I just assumed they did their job and, you know, permits and
They did.
variance. I didn't know, but I don't think this last company did get the variance. So
Well, they didn't do, there's no.
Yeah, so they didn't get the variance. So
They needed to, right?
So in order for the board, I'll help you craft the argument a little bit, is that is that this is, in terms of any lot residential in the city of Columbus, an exceptionally large lot. This pool is predominantly in the side yard. It is.
Well, that's the terminology matters. It's not the side yard. But it's not an required front yard either. It is in front of the
Side of
building.
our houses.
I don't dispute that at all. A very, yeah.
I just want to make
variance
sure
is
the
necessary.
terminology correct.
But is it fair to say, Jamie, that some of the pool is located in the side yard?
Not the required side yard.
Not the required side yard. Right, not the required side yard.
That would need another variance.
Right, we are outside of any required side yard for purpose of the zoning code. Exceptionally large lot, sensitively placed on the lot in terms of what this exceptionally large lot is, and appropriately surrounded by board-on-board fence, an abundance of landscaping, and a wrought iron fence.
Is there anybody here to speak about this application? And this went through, is there an area commission?
There is no area commission.
Maybe we need to put that on the list. Another layer might have helped us here.
Right.
There is no area commission, but notice was sent to surrounding property owners, and we all know the world we live in with the advent of wonderful social media, which has made my job so much easier. And if this was a matter of grave public concern to the folks that live along Preston, they would most certainly be here to voice their opinion on the appropriateness of this pool in the
Or
yard.
they just misread it. I mean, you wouldn't think that somebody was asking for permission to put a pool in their front yard.
That's what the notice says.
But
Allow
I mean,
swimming pool to be put in the front yard. Exactly what it says.
Yeah.
wow. Okay, let's roll.
Are we ready to call the question?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
No, right to him. It's like a target.
So this notice went out. This is just, and I'm not asking for a true legal conclusion, but this notice went out. You can't really unring the bell for what's happened here. You could, but at great expense for the property owner. What kind of positioning do we have as a body to say, you know, like, mistakes happen? And I guess I want to make sure that we don't have a domino effect, because there are other yards that this will meet, whether they're nearby or whether they're, you know, in some other locations throughout central Ohio. How hard can we fall on this? You know, there was a technical error.
Yeah, I don't know how would not say that, because if the city approved it
Right.
and the owners went ahead for the city, you can't blame them for the city's, I mean, I don't know how you.
So I would urge the board to focus on the usual factors that the board is accustomed to in terms of granting a variance, you know, whether the variance is substantial, essential character, and they are the ones you're used to.
Yeah.
And it sounds like there are plenty of valid, reasonable justifications.
We would
for
never,
granting a
we
variance.
would never say yes to a pool in a front yard. It could have a football field for a front yard, and we would never say yes to that.
And that's a reasonable vote too. You just have to look inside your own, you know, conscience.
And Mr. Jones, in terms of where this pool is located with the uniqueness of this lot, it's fair to say that this is not proposing a pool out along Preston squarely in the front yard of this property. It is sensitively placed along the side of the home.
Yes.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Chair Paul Bailey?
Yeah, I have to qualify my vote that I'm voting because this was a city of Columbus approval. I have to say that on the record, it's for my yes.
Thank you all.
You're here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
345 East Second Avenue.
You can say good luck.
90% up.
I was waiting for the people to be based.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, I expect great.
Okay, 345 East Second Avenue is located on the south side of East Second Avenue, approximately 540 feet east of North Sixth Street. Site is zone M manufacturing and is located within the Italian Village Commission. The subject site is developed with a plus or minus 34,000 square foot building. Approximately 20,050 square feet of the building is used as a religious facility, and the remainder used as a warehouse with storage. Surrounding uses include multiple surface parking lots, an automotive parts warehouse to the west, a rail line to the east, and an office building to the south, and multi-unit residential scattered throughout. The applicant proposes a change of use from warehouse to an indoor-outdoor dog park, accessory bar, retail space, and grooming space. Exterior scope will include a reconfiguration and restriping of the existing parking and adding a dumpster enclosure. The applicant therefore requests a variance to ensure code-required parking will be available by reducing the minimum parking space width from 9 feet to 8 feet, and reducing the aisle width for 90-degree parking from 20 feet to 18 feet. If you want to show the aisle up in the northwest corner, actually right there, that's the only area where the aisle is being reduced. The applicant requests further variance to reduce the building setback from 40 feet to 10 feet for a dumpster and allow the dumpster to be located within the building setback. The Italian Village East redevelopment plan does not address the matter. Staff notes that the variance will require a recommendation from the Italian Village Commission, which was scheduled to be heard on January 9th of this year. The Division of Traffic Management stated that a right-of-way dedication of 40 feet from the center line of East 2nd Avenue will be required. The site is located within the short north special parking area, so a variance to reduce the minimum number of required parking spaces would not have been allowed. However, pursuant to section VA2 of the short north special parking area rules and regulations, a non-residential in lieu fee of $20,000 per parking space may be considered. The required parking would have been 33, the provided parking would be 29, so that would have been an $80,000 in lieu fee had the applicant wanted to go that way.
But help me understand.
Sure.
I didn't think it was optional.
There's an optional in lieu fee. We can't give them the variance, but they can go to the Division of, or Department of Public Service, right?
You're saying it's out of our scope. You're just describing.
Yeah, I'm just telling you why are we here today? Why are they asking for a parking space with reductions? Because they don't want to pay $80,000 on a lot that they're renting. Okay. So paying lieu fee was $20,000 per parking space, which would be considered by the Department of Public Service. In consideration that the proposed use would be anticipated to occupy a high percentage of the proposed parking spaces on the site and involve frequent loading and unloading of dogs from side vehicular doors that would be considered by adjacent 8-foot parking spaces, the Division of Traffic Management would not support more than 7 parking spaces on the site having a width reduced to 8. As of the writing of this report, the recommendation from the Italian Village Commission has not been received. Should I summarize? This application was originally submitted as a request to reduce the required number of parking spaces from 33 to 29, a difference of 4 spaces. Unfortunately, as stated by the Division of Traffic Management, the site is located within the short north special parking area, so a variance to reduce the required number of parking spaces is not allowed. Therefore, the applicant has submitted a revised site plan with the code required 33 spaces. However, to accommodate the minimum number, a variance is required to reduce the width of 21 of those spaces from the required 9 feet to 8 feet. Staff was supportive of the additional parking variance as the site is located in an area experiencing tremendous residential growth of both apartments and single unit dwellings. Staff believes the intended customer base, mainly from the neighborhood, would walk to the site and the parking would be a technicality. Staff still supports this notion and can therefore support the reduced parking space width. Staff supports the dumpster being located in the building setback since it will be screened from view. That report was written this morning before conversation with the Division of Traffic Management, which feels a bit strongly, so I will defer now to Madam Chair.
So the staff's position is that people are going to be walking here?
Yeah, if you look at this area, you'll notice just look how many apartment buildings have been constructed in the past 3 or 4 years. It's just a sea of residential. So that was our initial thought when it was, hey, a parking variance, and now, well, that's our thought regardless. The customer base hopefully won't drive, but they'll walk their dog.
And what's so traffic management, your position is that parking spaces normally are what size?
9 feet is the standard width that we require.
And that's a standard width for regular car, not these huge SUVs.
Yeah, that's just the standard required parking space for.
And so when have we ever allowed 8?
I don't know if any that I've been a part of that we've allowed 8. I know we've allowed some at 8.5. The airport's a good option for that, where cars are stored. People are sitting, putting their cars there for, several days while they're traveling. So those aren't cars where people are in and out of that situation. So those instances we have considered variances down to 8.5. We've been in support of that. Another major concern that we have is that the intent of that special parking area, while it doesn't necessarily apply to this particular parcel, the parcels along High Street where it is intended to apply could use this as a way to get out of.
And that's what I was about to say, like, this
Yeah.
seems like a workaround.
It sets a precedence for your
Yeah, like, oh, I don't have to pay the 8,000.
parking space sizes. Yeah, so that was our main consideration in disapproval of that recommendation or of that request, and requiring a maximum number of 8-foot parking spaces to be, in this case, approximately 7. We're setting that total at about 20% of the total required parking spaces.
Can you state your name, whether or not you were sworn in?
My name's Carly LaFrance. Yes, I was sworn in.
Can you provide some more clarity, some of the questions that we've been talking about?
Sure. So a little bit of history of this building, this site. If you go to a photo of the property line, it's got a really awkward shape. It's kind of a panhandle. And so there's very little parking, there's very little lot space up at the north end of the site. And there's really no room for expansion, and the building is existing. And there's an existing kind of exterior fenced in area that we're using for a dog park. In 2013, the church that currently occupies half of the building, who's currently the landowner, applied for a variance in parking reduction to 33 spaces. And so basically, over the past maybe 2 months, we've been discussing with the city and with through NICM about a solution for this site, because we can't reduce that 33 spaces, but we also can't fit 33 9-foot spaces on this site. So the nature of the original variance, I'm not sure was put up to the same scrutiny. And so I don't believe that there have ever been 33 spaces on this site. And so we are trying to resolve that by putting 33 spaces, but since our space is limited, we've had to reduce the parking width.
I don't like the reduced parking size, space size. Just be honest, transparent about that. We have a designated size for space for a reason.
So where I keep seeing all these reduced parking size lots, they're going down from 10 feet to 9 feet. Generally speaking, I'm seeing a lot of parking spaces being reduced. Are you saying that they're going from 10 to 9, not 9 to 8?
Well, I mean, our requirement would be not to. So if a parking lot wanted to strike wider than 9, they have the prerogative to do that. But we would only require a 9-foot wide space.
I'm just saying, for example, my parking garage, Columbus Commons underground park, they restriped, everything is compressed. Have they compressed to 8 feet?
They've probably gone to 9 feet. So they can be allowed to do that. By the way.
Okay. And you're saying, I'm just trying to process all of this. It requires 33. You can only get 29, or you can't even, you're struggling to get
I can
29.
get 29 full-sized 9-foot parking spaces on the lot. But we cannot apply for a parking reduction variance. We have to have 33 spaces.
You have to have it 33 spaces or pay to have reduced, because they're in that area.
And it's like you say, pay to reduce, But it was, so, you know, we look at a lot of, when we look at a lot of older homes in neighborhoods, we look at existing conditions. Like if somebody comes in to German Village and says, we need to redo this to this house, we have this laundry list of existing conditions that we say yes to because they can't change the size, the lot, the whatever. This seems like the exact same situation to me.
Well, it's changing the use though, from a warehouse to no intense use. That's why they're.
Right, but at the end of the day, 33 spaces
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
is still. And what's the square footage?
The square footage of the whole facility is 17,000 square feet. However, the vast majority of that is membership only. And so we think that would reduce the number of people who actually go to the site. So the bar is open to
Sorry, I
everybody.
didn't hear what you said. The vast majority.
Of the floor plan of our project of All Paws Social, which is like the indoor dog park, the outdoor dog park. This is majority of square footage. That's all membership only. And so, you know, the general public wouldn't just be able to walk in with their dog and have their dog around. And so I think that would reduce the required number of parking spaces as well. The church, the owner of the building, currently leases 90 spaces to the south of this site on sort of the other side of that narrow strip. And those are available for our use after 5 p.m. and on weekends, which is when we would consider that the peak hours of this particular use. There's also, as you can see, a sizable parking lot to the west side of the property that is almost unused.
And so your normal calculation to say, oh, there's so much, you know, city or available public parking and this, that, and the other, that's already been played into this?
Yeah, and I will clarify that traffic management and the Division of Mobility and Parking Services has no concern with amount of available parking. Our main concern is the precedent we can set by reducing the parking to meet this number required in this special parking area.
And we can't say keep it at 9 feet because then it's gonna.
They can't fit 33 spaces on site.
And they can't ask for variance.
I mean, from us.
Are you, the outside part for the dog part, is that using part of the parking lot? Where's that taking place?
That is, it's an already constructed side yard. You can kind of see it on the screen there where that shadow line is. That's just an exterior portion. It's fenced in. The fence is existing. It's existing to remain.
So there's not current parking?
No, we're not removing any parking. We are, originally the scope was to reseal and restripe the lot, and it's kind of expanded as we've gone through the zoning process.
Wouldn't there be an option to remove the existing islands, landscape islands, to increase the size of the parking spaces?
There would be an option to do that. However, we would also need to add back landscape islands anyway for another zoning requirement. And
Wouldn't
also,
that be an easier variance than trying
Yeah,
to?
we can forgive that. We don't have the permission to forgive this other stuff.
Right.
right, I do think, however, the cost might be prohibitive.
It's not $80,000 prohibitive. Okay. I'm trying to help you.
Yeah, that's what I said. As I said, if there's no lands, if we give a variance for the landscape requirement, we wouldn't, and you could fit the parking in.
That would be a preference.
Well, I guess,
It's within our scope.
It fits within what we can do a lot.
I mean, the city is wanting, this is, I guess what I'm saying, this is what the city is wanting, right? So this actually would, there's not a hardship for you here. This is just a bad site for your business model. And so if you want, right, so if you want to force the business model into this, then the cost of doing business is $80,000.
Right, I'm not the owner here, our client has a pretty tight budget, so I'm just trying to do my best.
Yeah, I get that. But I don't feel comfortable kind of backdooring what the purpose of this whole parking issue is in this area by saying, oh, just make the parking spaces smaller. That's not a solution that follows the spirit of the law.
If it was 8.5, I wouldn't have much issue. 8.
That doesn't solve it.
Tight.
So, Seeing that what we're suggesting is not on the agenda for us to vote on, we can't totally solve this tonight for you. You have to come back because notice has to go out, so requesting a different variance, which would be the landscaping. So we just can vote on these tonight and then you'll have to come back with a new proposal.
Okay.
Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Seeing no movement, are you ready to call the question?
I'll call the question.
To table, that's the question?
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you want to
I think
table?
we should probably table.
Yeah, so let me,
Tabling.
if we vote, well, if we vote no, then you have to come back with a new application, which is good anyway. If
Well,
we table it, you come back with a new application.
I was standing.
Revised.
to table it.
Yeah. It'd be easy to table it, but you have to request the table.
Okay, can we table it?
We have a motion to table.
So moved.
Second,
Please call the roll.
Mr. Malekpa?
Yes.
Ms. Engelhoff?
Yes,
Mr. Jones?
yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey?
yes, table, thank you.
Thank you.
1445 Grandview Avenue. Ready?
Yes. Okay, 1445 Grandview Avenue is located at the southwest corner of Grandview Avenue and Ida Avenue. The site is on C4 commercial and is within the 5th by Northwest Area Commission. 0.6 acre site is built with a plus or minus 11,821 square foot commercial shopping center. It contains a dry cleaner, a hair salon, tattoo parlor, and 4 eating and drinking establishments. Current uses are a big box store to the north, a church to the east, commercial to the south, and multi-unit residential to the west. The applicant proposes a change of use for the dry cleaning space to eating and drinking, and is requesting a parking variance to conform the entire site, which would require 86 spaces, but can only provide 30. The Division of Mobility and Parking Services has reviewed this project and supports it. They agree that the off-street lots near the property should make up any shortfall of any off-street parking. They also agree that the proximity to transit, access to bike parking, and a nearby Kogo station will allow for greater access to the site. There won't be a designated on-street parking facilities. Planning generally supports the applicant's proposal, but requests additional bicycle and parking along the storefront of the property. Planning also encourages placement along Ida Avenue if feasible. Columbus citywide planning policies, commercial design guidelines allows construction for parking reductions with the provision of pedestrian and bicycle facilities beyond that required by code. As such, staff requests additional bike parking consistent with this guidance. The Division of Parking Services, I guess is different from mobility options, is supportive of the requested variance to reduce the minimum required number of parking spaces from 86 to 30 associated with the subject application at 1445 Grandview Avenue. However, traffic management's support for this application is contingent on any plan associated with this application being revised to comply with the second traffic management staff review comment for this application. Number 2 stated that the 2 parking spaces shown in the general arrangement plan, so the north along Ida there with bike rack car. Gotcha. Yeah. Those 2 spaces be removed. Sorry, where was I? The 2 parking spaces shown on site currently depicted as overlapping in the Ida Avenue right of way will not be permitted to encroach or move within the public right of way. So they've been removed. The 5th by Northwest Area Commission recommends approval 5-0 of this request. Staff can recommend approval as the site is located within a pedestrian-friendly neighborhood with proximity to transit, access to bike parking, and a nearby Kogo station, which will allow for greater access to the site and won't be a detriment to on-street parking facilities. We are asking for a condition emphasized by planning that the applicant will install 2 additional bike racks along Ida Avenue, which you can see on the site plan. Madam Chair.
So the question, Amy, so traffic and management's conditions, their contingencies were met?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
How many parking spaces does this new use trigger, the net difference?
That I don't know. I just know the entire site would have required 86. Is there square footage on the book space? I should do the math.
1742.
Yeah, that looks correct.
You said 42?
He's checking.
So 22 would be required for that space.
22.
Well, 22 would be required for new space. Two. I got 450. Three were, so 19 difference.
Because I feel like I hear everything that you're saying, you know, and it is surrounded by street parking, et cetera. I'm not saying no. I guess I feel like there's so many right there, and I know I always have difficulty with parking. And now we're saying that this space that was otherwise designated for, you know, retail, drop off, pickup, not using more than probably 4 or 5 spaces, now we need 19. And none will be provided, no new ones will be provided, so it's just difficult. Like, what if 3 more places do the same thing? And with the adaptive reuse of so many facilities, commercial facilities today, it's likely that that's gonna happen, and I fear that we're not contemplating that, we're not anticipating that in a very thoughtful way, like towards a real solution. We're just trying to Chair Palmer Bailey's point earlier, we're trying to fit something into a space and make it work for the calculation. But I fear that looking forward for our commercial spaces as they go through this adaptive reuse period, that we're going to be like saying it's too late. What do we do to fix this?
State the name of whether you're sworn in, please.
Yeah, David Hodge, attorney for the applicant, and I have been sworn in. All of you know where this is. This is Grandview Avenue. And Grandview Avenue is probably revered as being one of our most vibrant and successful mixed-use urban corridors in the city of Columbus. Residential there, lots of dining options there, lots of retail options there. And I've been involved in many other projects along Grandview Avenue. There was the building that burned down that got redone that the Wagon Brenners had. And I know with that application, there was a considerable amount of study and analysis done of the parking situation along Grandview Avenue. And I'm not going to sit here and say that there's adequate parking all over Grandview Avenue. But one of the things that makes an urban neighborhood like the Short North and like Grandview Avenue so successful is that compact mix of uses that are right there and readily available to the public. You can park someplace, you can shop, you can dine, and it's just part of what makes an urban neighborhood successful. You know, we're in Columbus. Columbus has for the longest time, you know, had the reputation to be a little bit of a cow town. We are not a cow town anymore. And Short North proves that. Grandview Avenue proves that. Lots of our other urban neighborhoods proves that. And the genesis of this is taking a reasonably small retail space. Someone wants to move in and put a restaurant in there, a compatible and appropriate land use under the zoning. Unfortunately, there's only so much parking you could do without eating into the building footprint. The Fifth by Northwest Area Commission, they always have their eye on parking. When we do mixed use or residential projects, we always aim on the new developments to meet their minimum parking requirement. Just not able to do that over here on Grandview Avenue, but they saw fit to recommend unanimously that the board approve this. It's also been through the gauntlet of city staff and traffic management. They all came to the conclusion that in this location, conversion of this space to a small restaurant is appropriate, notwithstanding a little bit of a deficit in parking. People are going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to park on the street. They're going to have to park at a meter. They're going to have to, you know, roll it and roll the dice and go park up in the Grandview Mercantile parking lot, which is up to the north, which is never full. Ever full Grandview Mercantile. If I go to Mazza or Aladdin's, I'll often, you know, park there at the southern end of the Grandview Mercantile Big Lots parking lot without an issue. I know that folks up in this neighborhood, the owners, Wagon Brenners own a lot over there, work together. They're not towing cars, and they understand that that a vibrant retail location is good for everybody. So
again, I think that you make a great point. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's we're at the advent of adaptive reuse. So yours is the beginning, again, not such a big deal. And your reference to the short north, they've gone in and put in substantial parking garages that help to remove that burden significantly. So I'm saying, looking forward, rather than saying, we can make this fit, we need to look forward to a longer-term solution, anticipating additional adaptive reuse, because otherwise these places will become vacant, abandoned, landlords lose the space. It'll become a nightmare, and people aren't gonna let that happen. They're gonna come and do the exact same thing, which leaves us with a future deficit that I'm saying we need to address. I'm not saying for your case, so you made your case.
It's going to be fascinating to see what the city does when they finally unveil the new zoning code for the corridors and what that's going to mean for parking. We've done what we can do here. There is an existing bike facility out in the right of way along the frontage. We've committed to add another one up here along the north side of the property. There's also some additional bike parking on the one of the restaurant patio perimeters. And so we've done here what we can, and hopefully I have made the case and respectfully request the board's approval of the request.
So to clarify, you are gonna install 2 additional bike racks along Ida Avenue?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there anybody here to speak about this application? Do we have any other questions for the applicant?
I'll call the question.
Question has been called with the condition of the 2 additional bike racks. Please call the roll.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Chair Paul Bailey?
Yes, variance granted. Thank you.
Literally.
1728 North High Street.
BZA 23-132 at 1720 North High Street is located on the east side of North High Street, approximately 350 feet north of 12th Avenue. As part of the University Area Commission and the existing zoning C4 commercial district. The approximately 23-acre site is currently developed with 2 eating and drinking establishments separated by a small parking and loading area. Surrounding uses include a mix of shops and eating and drinking establishments to the north, eating and drinking establishments and a live music venue to the south, multi-unit dwellings to the east, and the Ohio State University to the west. The applicant proposes to construct an event space in the parking and loading area between the 2 existing structures. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the number of required bicycle spaces from 10 to 0, to reduce the minimum number of parking spaces for 11,892 square feet of restaurant use and 4,775 square feet of patio use from 96 to 0, to reduce the minimum number of loading spaces from 1 to 0, to reduce the dumpster screening requirement to only require dumpster screening on the east side from North Pearl Street, to reduce the clear vision triangle at the southwest intersection of East 13th Avenue and North Pearl Street from 10 feet to 2 feet, to waive the requirement for a vertical element on the existing High Street frontage, and to reduce the minimum required area of glass on the facade between 2 feet and 10 feet above the nearest sidewalk from 60% to 20% along the primary High Street frontage, and 0% along the first 10 feet of the secondary 13th Avenue frontage. Case BZA 19-039, which was a previous BZA case, was approved to reduce the number of required spaces from 51 to 7 to allow a patio to encroach 5 feet into the clear vision triangle for the parking lot driveway, to allow a patio to encroach 5 feet into the clear vision triangle at the intersection of East 13th Avenue and North Pearl Street, and to reduce the minimum number of loading spaces from 1 to 0. Now, for that last part, staff does note that this application was for a separate business on the same parcel, and that since the loading zone requirements are business specific, this proposal would still require 1 loading space, which is why they are including that variance. The University District Plan recommends that new construction be of high quality design and materials compatible with the surrounding neighborhood and have a dynamic mapping and include high levels of transparency on the ground floor. The proposal is consistent with these recommendations. However, the plan also recommends parking be provided consistent with the zoning code and that dumpsters be screened to their full height. While the proposal is inconsistent with these recommendations, staff supports the request due to site constraints presented by the applicant. Division of Traffic Management is supportive of the requested variances, but has requested that the reduction in on-site loading zone be mitigated by the inclusion of an off-site loading zone to be approved by the Division of Traffic Management, and that supplemental bike parking be included within the right-of-way. The University Impact District Review Board recommends approval of all variances. The University Area Commission recommends approval of all variances but 3325.341C and 3325.341D, voting 11 in favor, 5 against, and 1 abstaining. Staff does note, however, that 3325.341C and 3325.341D were not heard by the University Area Commission. Thus, they have not issued an official opinion on these two variances. University Area Commission has within their bylaws that they only hear a BZA case once. So they had gone before the University Area Commission before those two other additional variances were added. So the UIC could not hear those additional variances. City Department's recommendation is that of approval. Staff can recommend approval as similar variances have already been approved for other businesses on this parcel in regards to parking requirements and loading spaces. The previous BZA application that I mentioned in 2019, that was approved to reduce a loading space from 1 to 0. The increased density and intensity of use on this site reflects similar sites along High Street in the University Impact District. Similarly, the reduction in parking is mitigated by the mostly pedestrian student population in the surrounding area. There are some conditions that we're going to recommend as per the Department of Traffic Management. The applicant shall work with the city to include 4 URAC bike parking spaces in the right of way at the west end of East 13th Avenue and include an off-site loading zone, which the Division of Traffic Management approves. Now, I understand, I believe it was about an hour before this meeting, we did have a final site plan that was submitted. We can either keep those conditions as is, and I'm kind of deferring to traffic here as well. Or if we want to take a look at this site plan, if we see this is sufficient, we can get that stamped too.
Yeah, I see the thing.
I've got a copy of it.
Don't do it. No, no.
Just go along. Stand up.
Wasn't clear, were you saying that they do require a loading space or they don't?
Yeah, so they would still be required to provide a loading space, even though that previous BZA application reduced it from 1 to 0, because that BZA application was for a different business. It's actually, I believe, Ethel and Tank, which is this building on the same parcel right here. And since this would be a separate business, they would not be absolved of that requirement based on the last one.
Gotcha.
Last BZA application.
Okay, state your name, whether or not you've been sworn in.
David Hodge, attorney for the applicant. I have been sworn.
Eric Zartman, attorney for the applicant, has been sworn in.
Okay. Go ahead, you got a lot going on here.
Yeah, a lot going on. And to add insult to injury, I'm due at an area commission over at the, about a half an hour away from here in 15 minutes. So I wanted to stick around and at least set the stage here. You know, you guys see a lot of cases here on a monthly basis, and I want to make sure that the board, with respect to this one, has a full appreciation of the gauntlet we've run leading up to our appearance before you this evening. This is obviously on High Street, or just off of High Street in the University District. Multiple jurisdictions there in terms of zoning oversight. We have to appear before the University Impact District Review Board to secure a recommendation on the variances from that architectural board, and also get all of the design and aesthetic signed off by that architectural review board, and ultimately issuance of a certificate of appropriateness for that work. All of that work leading up to tonight has been done. So the University Impact District Review Board has reviewed this many times. They recommended approval of all of the variances, and they have signed off on the design aesthetic here. We also went through the University Area Commission process. They are also recommending approval of the variances. There is the little nuance of the two design elements that we frankly were not aware of when we presented to the University Area Commission. One thing that Mr. Kirk didn't mention is that we did engage directly with their leadership, Doreen Uhas-Sauer and Seth Golding, their zoning chair, as well as other commission members. some of which serve both in the capacity of Impact District Review Board member and University Area Commission member. They are fully aware of the two variances that we missed. They're very nuanced. They are design-driven overlay requirements. And their conclusion was that since the design here has been dictated by the Architectural Review Board, the Impact District Review Board, that they were comfortable with those two design variances not going back to the full commission. So the University Area Commission leadership is in support of this appearing before the BZA without a full vote of the commission.
Can you translate what those two mean for me?
Eric can?
Yeah, sure. So they actually concern existing non-conforming conditions on the midway bar, which is up front. And it's a technicality when you expand a building by more than 50%, that the other building loses its nonconformities. And so it doesn't have the 60% glass along the frontage, and it doesn't have
Of the midway building.
of the midway, and it doesn't have vertical elements. And so by our new proposal, the midway lost its existing non-conforming conditions, which are overlay to standards that were developed or instituted after the midway was already built.
So it has nothing to do with the gap area that you're building?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
But what is the vertical element?
It's an architect. I mean, let Mr. Maleka can probably answer that better than anybody.
I think it's vertical. It's just today, like a.
Up here or up here that has windows on either side of it.
So
Yeah,
it's just a design.
kind of a
And it would-
building articulation, Mr. Maleka?
Building articulation, something up and down.
Yeah. So, you saw the site photographs that staff had and you see on your screen. Yeah, so that's sort of what's going on there today, known as the block. Same ownership of Midway, the block, and the ethylene tank on the left side of the screen. There's always been a lot of sort of hand-wringing and consternation about the block and exactly what needs to happen there. And so my client was pushed to, felt pushed. They felt pushed to make a decision about how do we improve that space? How do we make a better use of that space than just having sort of the open parking lot there between the two buildings? And so they engaged with a really good architectural firm to come up with some solutions to that. And the solutions are, if you could flip back over to the design aesthetic there that's been approved by the review board, that's what they came up with. And this is what's been discussed both with the review board and also the University Area Commission. We ran the gauntlet and got here with their approval. Very, very technical variances by and large, certainly a parking reduction associated with this. The project's already the subject of a pretty significant parking reduction. This just eliminates the parking here altogether. But the remainder of the variances are by and large pretty technical. We are happy to continue to work with traffic management on the loading zone. There might be an alternative solution to the site plan you have. They may want that loading zone to shift over to the west and then create additional on-street parking in front. So we prefer the staff condition that's in the report as opposed to having this stamped or signed off on.
That was gonna be my suggestion as well, is just to go with the staff report.
Yeah. That'll allow us to salvage some on-street parking in front of the building.
So not stamp it then?
Not stamp it because Chair Palmer Bailey, the loading zone that we dreamed up on this site plan, we might be able to shift that over to the west, over towards High Street, and then create some additional on-street, salvage some on-street parking spaces there on 13th in front of the use, which I think is the city's preference. And this was just an early mock-up, and we've had building code officials involved in this. We've had the fire department involved in this. We've had traffic management involved in this. So we've really worked through it to a pretty darn good solution for everybody here at the end.
The city also wants a 4 URAC bike park.
Absolutely. We agree to that condition. So 13th does not come all the way down into High Street anymore. It once did, and that sort of creates a de facto plaza there outside of this, and it's a great location for some additional bike parking, and our client agrees to do all of that. So really a good package, a thoughtful package. Lots of hard work by our property owner to engage this great architectural group to get through this and get all this signed off on leading up to here. You know, I've said it 10 times. I'm going to say it one more time. The gauntlet we have run to get here tonight with the accumulation of approvals and yes votes to get here really, I think, speaks volumes. And hopefully the board agrees with sort of that underlying work leading here tonight and sees fit to approve this variances so that we can see this pretty significant investment and improvement here to the block at 13th and High.
So there's a vision clearance variance here that I'd like the traffic administrator to speak to.
Look, if I might on that, so the vision clearance is totally technical. The reason is that alley's one way east, and so there is no actual blockage to the vision clearance.
I'm still gonna ask.
Okay.
Yeah, basically we would concur with that assessment. It is one-way alley in that direction. And it is somewhat technical by the fact that those are, street intersections, which are actually parking areas intersecting. No, we're in favor.
Okay. Is there anybody here to speak about this application? See no one else. Do we have any further questions for the applicant?
Call question.
Questions been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Ms. Wiggumall?
Yes.
Chair Pompili?
Yes. Variance is granted.
Thank you all very much.
994 East Mound Street.
Not here.
Not here. So what do we do with these?
What? Dave right there.
Oh, 994 East Mound Street?
I'm number 7.
It's a 6.
Oh, what's that? 6 is Mount Street.
Who's here?
Oh,
837.
oh, wait.
No, it's not.
No, he's not. I thought you had that. All right, yeah, the applicant's not here.
I'm gonna say we'll put it to the end. 1025 and 1029 Hunter Avenue.
All right, 1025 and 1029 Hunter Avenue are located on the west side of Hunter Avenue, approximately 240 feet north of West Second Avenue. The site is zoned ARLD apartment residential and is located within the Victorian Village Commission. The subject site consists of 2 parcels. Area A is undeveloped and Area B is developed with a single unit dwelling. The applicant proposes to construct a single unit dwelling and a detached garage on Area A and a detached garage in addition to the existing dwelling on Area B. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the north side yard for a detached garage on Area A from 3 feet to 0 feet, to reduce both the north and south side yards of the proposed single unit dwelling on Area A from 5.83 feet to 3 feet, to reduce the south side yard for a detached garage on Area B from 3 feet to 0 feet, and to reduce both the north and south side yards for the existing single unit dwelling on Area B from 5 feet to 2 feet. The Planning Division defers to the Victorian Village Commission. Victorian Village Commission recommended approval with a vote of 5-0. Division of Traffic Management has no comments. And city staff can recommend approval as reduced side yards, lot widths, and lot areas, and increased lot coverage are common in order to historic neighborhoods such as Victorian Village. Madam Chair.
Okay, can you state your name and whether or not you were sworn in?
My name is Dave Perry. Yes, I've been sworn.
Go ahead with your comments.
Thank you, members of the BZA. These are 2 parcels owned separately, different people, but they were included because they are contiguous. Proposal as stated by staff is to build a new single-family dwelling on 1025 Hunter Avenue. And there is an existing single-family dwelling on 1029. The 1029 existing single-family dwelling side yard is not compliant with the ARLD district. The apartment residential low density district was established by the city in an early 70s area rezoning. It honestly is no longer representative of the neighborhood. There are many, many single family and 2-family units in the area. But ARLD nonetheless, the proposed, both the existing dwelling and the proposed dwelling fall under the single family exception. of the AR districts, which is also a component of the R districts, the residential district. But the side yard issue is being driven by the default side yard in ARLD is 5 feet rather than 3 feet in the R districts. So we have a little different zoning district, but requests for side yards that are very characteristic of the neighborhood. And then in this instance, the proposal also includes the 2 garages, which will be attached, 2 cars on each parcel, but attached at the party wall and with 25-foot lots. That's a reasonable solution. It's a practical solution to provide parking on a 25-foot wide lot and a usable side yard of 4 feet on each lot.
Okay. Do you have any questions for the applicant? Did you say the 2 proposed garages will share a wall? So
Yes, they will. Yeah. So that since they're detached, they have that 3-foot side yard requirement. So 3 feet to 0 for both parcels to attach them.
Well, why are they stacked like that?
Architect design and Victorian Village preference to not have a 40-foot or 42-foot continuous wall to provide a staggering of the facades.
Is there anybody here to speak about this application? Do you have any further questions?
Call the question.
Questions been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Chair Paul Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted, thank you.
Yep, very good, thank you.
266 Linda Lee Lane.
Okay. 266 Linda Lee Lane is located on the north side of Linda Lee Lane, approximately 120 feet east of Emerald Hill Drive. Site is zoned R2 residential and is located within the Far North Columbus Communities Coalition. The site is developed as a single-unit dwelling in a residential neighborhood. The applicant proposes to construct a 2-story room addition to the rear of the dwelling and requests a variance to reduce the rear yard from 25% to 18%. The planning division is supportive of the proposal. The Far North Area Plan recommends subdivisions should be designed to maintain community character. Staff note the proposal is consistent with plan design guidelines and therefore are supportive. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and city staff can recommend approval as the proposal is consistent with the Far North Area Plan recommendation that subdivisions are designed to maintain community character. We have no conditions, Madam Chair.
Okay, please state your name for the record and whether you've been sworn in.
Kyle Cochran, and yes, I've been sworn in.
Do you have anything else to add to this application?
Not particularly, seemed relatively straightforward.
Have you met with the FNCCC, the Far North?
I reached out to them. I believe the homeowners were in contact with them and they got a yes from them.
Okay, you didn't attend the meeting?
No. They were unable to make it tonight, so I took their place as their contractor for this hearing.
Gotcha.
I do have a power attorney from this young man.
Do we have any other questions for the applicant? Is there anybody here to speak about this application? See no one else in the audience.
Call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Chair Paul Bailey?
Yes, variance granted. So 948 Whitehorn Avenue and 994 East Elm Street.
Juno show.
I guess we will table.
Yeah.
Either vote to table or we would just table.
I think might as well just call up the address in the case I'm gonna make it official.
Okay, case BZA 23-04084, which is 948 Whitehorn Avenue will be tabled, as there's no one here to speak to it. And BZA 23-136 994 East Mount Street will also be tabled because there's no one here to speak to the application. And with that, meeting is adjourned.
Excellent. Hey, Gordon. Happy New Year.